change the odds for every bookmaker in the country.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar.
Dollars. The Gritty Gammas are back in the building. How we feeling, Matt? How we feeling?
We're here on a Thursday, man. We got some stuff to cover. We got a little NHL. We got a little NBA, probably. I want to ask you about a couple NBA games, and then we're going to cover some tennis and some UFC for the weekend. I got a spot for tomorrow. I'm kind of feeling our boy Medvedev is in the semifinal tomorrow, so we might have to look at Medvedev for tomorrow, depending on what his odds are. Got some soccer to cover, too, of course. We got a lot to cover for the weekend, but just to lead it off, let me knock out this NHL real quick just because it is going to start soon. So we do have 2 NHL plays I got loaded up for you tonight. Both, you know how I am this season in NHL. I've been sticking to these 3-way regulation wins, doing pretty well with it. I've been getting better at avoiding the OT games. I'm getting games in regulation more often. Either they hit or they don't, flat out. I'm starting to get better at avoiding OT games. It's weird because I bet against the team that has the most OT games a lot recently, because another bet I got tonight versus the Islanders, and I got the Detroit Red Wings playing against the Islanders tonight at home. The Red Wings are one of the hottest teams at home this season, especially in the past couple weeks since the beginning of 2024. In the past roughly about 2 months. They've just been dominating the puck on their home ice since they got Patrick Kane and they put that first line together. They absolutely dominated my Caps a couple of nights ago, and I had them, so they made me some money there. But I'd like them tonight versus the Islanders. It is a tricky spot just because they're playing for Varlamov, and the movement on the money line isn't the best. There's a lot of money coming in from the Islanders side.
I've seen that. That's why I'm gonna stay off on this one. But I do like where your head's at.
It's kind of a gut play here, to be honest with you. I'm gonna roll with it. Momentum. I'm leaning Red Wings here, and I took them this morning, and I'm staying on there. I do have another play, but I'll probably save that for later in the show when we get more.
Oh, I love that play. You could go ahead and talk all you want about it.
All right. Let me wrap up the Red Wings then. I like the matchup with Lyon in goal. You're gonna have some key injuries out for the blue line of the Islanders, which they've had blue line injuries all year. It really just comes to how aggressive they play. If they do trail versus Detroit, Detroit really does need to jump on them. So we're gonna see. I mean, this game does start in about roughly 10-15 minutes. So we'll know by the end of the show probably how the first period is starting off.
All right.
The other play I do have tonight is going to be the Nashville Predators at home versus the Minnesota Wild. It did scare me taking this bet in the morning, but I'm locked in on it. I'm not going to cash it out. The only reason that scares me is just because of the first line of the Minnesota Wild they put together about roughly 5 weeks ago. They took Zuccarello off the first line. They got a Boldy, Arsenet, Kaprizov line now, and it's pretty humming. The Predators are on a 6-game win streak, however, with getting really elite goaltending, and they're just playing elite, flush, fluid hockey. I mean, they're getting it to their stars who are finishing and putting the puck in the back of the net. You got Forsberg, who's almost got 30 goals this season. Roman Yossi's doing another Roman Yossi. It has 43 assists this season. Nashville's doing what Nashville does. They a key signing with Ryan O'Reilly. Nyquist has been playing pretty well for them on their first line, too. So the Preds in a good spot tonight, especially because they are at home. I like it. They've been getting decent movement, too, on the Predators. So I'm going to keep that bet locked in. I do like the Predators tonight. Since we've covered the 2 NHL games, I might as well cover some leans for a couple of the NHL spots. Okay. Overall, there's a couple big money line favorites. Like you have Carolina, you got the Panthers, who are both around 300, minus 300 favorites or so.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. We got the cat in the background. Nah. And you got the Leafs, who are at home, who are minus 225 favorites. So there's some big early favorites, and you got Chicago, who are at home. They're playing the Colorado, Colorado's minus 280 favorites. So those are the type of games I generally like to stay off of, me personally, just because it's way too wide of spread kind of when it comes to like betting wise with hockey. Shout out Austin. Shout out Austin.
What up, Austin?
But
Appreciate you
so
coming.
yeah, I stay off those type of games. The Canucks do interest me at 10 o'clock versus the Kings at home tonight. The Canucks have been one of the best teams in hockey this year. They've been in a slump recently, though. I will say that they have been kind of slumping. They deal with some injuries right now, but they still are one of the best teams in the league. So that is something to look out for. It's honestly, it's not like a crazy good slate. I would say Tampa does pique my interest at home tonight versus Buffalo. I know they played them fairly recently, not too long ago. Yeah, yeah, and they played them on the road. So Buffalo's been playing pretty well recently, but I do like Tampa just because it's the playoff push time, and this is the time of the year where Tampa goes and gets points. So I'm leaning Tampa in that spot. I'm leaning Tampa, and then the big game I avoided was Bruins and Golden Knights tonight in Boston. That's a tricky spot. That's the one game is like an absolute stay off for me because the Golden Knights have been like just killers on the road recently. They've been beating teams. I mean, yeah, they've been taking their lumps. Don't get me wrong, but they've been getting beat up.
Always welcome, Austin. Always.
Oh yeah, always love from Austin, man. Shout out Austin, man. Gritty gamblers. But just to wrap up NHL, that last game, the one thing I will note that's a good thing for the Bruins is that the money is leaning in their favor. So that's one thing to look at in that game. That pretty much wraps up our NHL. It's not a whole lot. I might give you guys a couple game previews later in the show for a couple games this weekend. But I really wanted to get in that Red Wings pick before the game started. And then we're both on the Preds tonight. I kind of was on the Preds first, and I think Parlay looked at it and he's like, yeah, no, I'm also on the Preds.
Yeah, I really like the Preds. I
Yeah.
saw Matt text me at like 9
I
o'clock.
text you dumb early in the morning. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't even get. I was walking into work. Doing, doing. And I looked at it and I'm like, all right, I'm putting it in.
No, yeah, I liked it. I liked
I
it.
also seen like a couple people on the Preds, so I
Yeah,
really like it.
okay, okay. So, did you have anything for like NBA or basketball tonight?
I mean, we can just get into it, man. You said you wanted to talk about the games.
There's one game I was curious about. Have you looked at that Orlando game at all?
Versus the Jazz.
It's been going up. They were -5.5, and now they're up to -7.5 on some books.
Yeah, I did see someone take the Jazz though.
Interesting.
I think they just
I
took a
see a
good.
lot of people on the Warriors tonight.
Yeah, I was gonna do that, but
I think Brunson's questionable.
I see a predicted spread at 1.5.
Oh, so Brunson might play.
Golden State. So
Oh, Brunson's warming up with the intention to play. Yeah, that's why that spread dropped. Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
and it's coming back down too. I think.
Because that's the
No,
reason they
it's not at
expect.
one. It's not at one yet. That's the predicted
Oh,
by
okay.
the,
No,
by the
Vegas had it.
it's
They're
at four
expecting
and
him
a
to be
half.
Vegas expecting him to be out.
Okay.
So if he plays, then maybe they're expecting him to play hurt at least. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think
And
he's
then
good.
you got the NBA Finals rematch. I don't think the Heat are
Hey,
gonna. I
who's
don't think
in? Brunson's playing.
Brunson's playing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If Brunson's playing, I mean, I think that the spread's gonna drop a little bit. I think Vegas thought he was gonna be out.
Oh, it did drop.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
No, it
Vegas
like
thought he was.
officially did drop.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it dropped a whole point.
Yeah, exactly. They expected him to be out.
I'm not touching it. Like that's why I looked at it right before I got off. Right when I got off, and I was like, no.
Yo, a game that interests me is the Nuggets being only 6.5 point favorites versus Miami at home in Denver.
The Nuggets 1 second.
Jokic double and win seems very fruitful this game. Depends on what you can get the odds at on that player double performance odd. Hell, if you want to take the swing at the triple double, you can.
I'm seeing 1 second.
Oh, you can't even get Jokic yet. You gotta wait till 10 o'clock probably.
Oh, let's see. Looking at poetry jobs on search is up to 31. Damn. They're saying expect a big game from Jimmy Butler tonight.
Yo, do you hear any white noise or is it just me?
Nah, I hear something. Oh,
Huh. Hold on, give me a second. All right, we'll take a look at it later.
all right. Um, 4 straight wins for the Nuggets. Spread at home, they as a favorite, they're 14-13-1. Outside, and they're just 4-7 against the spread, coming off no rest. That's Denver.
So that's why the spread's where it's at. That's interesting. The Heat do have Tyler Hero out tonight though, and Kevin Love, Josh Richardson. They got a couple people out.
And Thomas Bryant.
Heat are on a big win streak though.
Denver is too.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 game win streak from the Heat. You got a 4 game win streak from Denver. Something's gonna have to give. But yeah, that spot was
I think 6
interesting to
is
me.
easy.
Huh?
I think 6 is easy to take for
Yeah.
Chicago.
I'm just gonna wait till around 10 o'clock because I got hockey liabilities.
I might just take it.
Go ahead. Yeah, I mean it keeps climbing, so I might not be able to grab it later. But that game was another game that interested me.
I'm reading slow. Loading in. So I do have the under tonight in the let's see, in the Bucks Hornets game.
Okay. The Hornets probably won't score too many points, so that might not be bad.
And the Bucks are not doing well at all. As an away team, the under hits almost 60% of the time.
Yo, that's crazy. They've beaten this team by 30 plus 3 times already.
The Bucks have hit the under in 6 of their last 7 games and 11 of their last 13.
No, I that's cool. I get that stat, but like that's just mesmerizing. They've beaten this team by 40 twice, or by 30 plus 3 times, and they play them one more time. That's crazy. And each time they've played them, it's gotten worse. They beat them by 31, then they beat them by 36, then they beat them by 38. Jeez. The spread was Milwaukee minus 11.5, and it's dropping because this game is in Charlotte. That is the one thing. But and Middleton's out, I guess. But bro, that's crazy. That's domination.
I wonder how much the tickets are.
Oh yeah, you get to watch Giannis and Dame live, man.
Probably pretty expensive.
Well, if you're getting them by now, the game's about to start soon, so it's probably gonna be somewhat cheaper. You got the Lakers get hosted my damn Wizards in LA tonight, bro. They gonna stomp on them.
They're $20
For the Bucks, that's not bad.
for the cheap tickets. But I'm probably not gonna go to that.
Yo, you know what game's really interesting to me?
What you think?
Let's switch over to college basketball, bro. You see Gonzaga tonight?
Nah, I'm looking at
Baseball?
nope. In
College
basketball.
basketball?
Yeah.
Are they playing Memphis right
Yep.
now?
Spread and money line.
Oh yeah, the spread is Memphis minus 4.5.
Sir.
Interesting. Nah, I was just wondering if you looked at Gonzaga and San Francisco tonight, man. Western Conference, man.
Let me pull it up
That's a
quick.
big game, dog. The spread's dropping. It's an 11 o'clock game, so I won't watch it. But the spread's dropping kind of. It was at 4.5. Now it's at 3.5. Gonzaga's on the road. They've
I'm
been
gonna
playing
say
really well recently, but I mean, that's going to be a tough game for them. And they have St. Mary's on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
in San
Yeah,
Francisco.
they got St. Mary's in 2 days after this, which is the number one and number two in the Western Coastal Conference. Yeah, the West Coast Conference. Yeah, those are the top three teams in the West Coast Conference by a bit. And St. Mary's is undefeated in West Coast Conference play because that's Saturday. So we're kind of previewing both games right now, because I think Gonzaga's dropping one of them.
You know, I love a good Saint team.
Well, that's Saturday so here's the thing: they're both games are on the road for Gonzaga,
St. Mary's does
and,
play tonight though versus Pepperdine.
which makes sense but that spread's also 15.5, dog. Like I'm not really trying like,
That
huh?
that looks
What'd you
ratty.
say?
Looks ratty.
Oh yeah, I'm off that. But the Gonzaga game interests me because I don't know. I kind of want to take San Francisco, but something's holding me off.
Oh, I just did it.
Oh, you took San Francisco?
Yeah, plus 4.5.
You see what I'm trying to say, right?
I bought the hook.
It looks really interesting because, dog, like,
Money looks good too. They
and
got good.
it's a letdown spot because they play at St. Mary's in 2 days.
Took Miami too.
Oh, which one? Which Miami?
Heat.
Oh, okay, you took a Heat. Okay, I'm staying off that because I was leaning Nuggets in that game.
I don't think a team that's won 5 in a row is not gonna cover. We'll see.
That's why I think the spread is what it is. But it's also like the altitude, all those things you have to account for in Denver. But bro,
I read an article that Jimmy Butler's going off tonight.
he might be get back mode. It's the first game they played since the finals
Yeah,
against
correct.
each other.
Correct.
Another thing that's interesting is, Wazoo has got a solid basketball team this year. What the hell?
Yeah, they won that game we were talking about when they played at 11 o'clock.
And they play Arizona, yeah, and they play
Yeah,
the USC tonight at home, and the spread's slowly rise. I think it was 6.5 earlier. Now it's 7.5, but they might storm them. I know they just lost to Arizona State, but they might cook, especially at home. Yo, Loyola Chicago is somewhat relevant tomorrow.
are they?
They play Dayton, yeah, and Dayton's only minus 1.5 favorites right now because it's on the road in Loyola Chicago in Chicago. That's an ESPN2 game too. That's a TV game.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
That's a game Dayton might drop. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not saying they will, but that's a game they could drop.
Dayton. Let me pull it up.
Hey man, I'm not gonna lie to you. Number one team in the country. What I tell you, Houston, baby.
Yeah, they are.
Hey, what you think about Tennessee? Let's move into Saturday college hoops, man. What you think about Tennessee, Alabama, man?
We gonna blow them out, bro.
You're not blowing them out, but I think you'll win. I think so. You're at home because I think what's gonna happen is you're gonna win and then lose to Florida in the middle of the week.
And then we'll win the next game and win the SEC.
Probably. I think you might be co-champs of one of the
That's how it
teams.
usually happens.
You're gonna be co-champs of one of the regular season, like either Auburn or Tennessee, whichever one of them finished better.
Well, Tennessee will beat Tennessee.
I think like
And
if I pull up the SEC, if I'm not mistaken, if you end up dropping that Florida game, you'll end up being co-champs in one
you
of them.
want to hear a bad beat?
What?
So yesterday, Auburn was down 6, right? And
Yeah.
they decided to foul to go down 8 and not cover.
Oh, not.
But
Oh yeah, no. Listen, yeah,
it's up winning.
you'll. This is actually perfect. So Tennessee, they actually got a mini gauntlet right now, dog. Their last 3 games for the regular season, they
Yeah.
play you guys, then they play South Carolina at South Carolina, then they play Kentucky. Now Kentucky, they'll probably beat because they had Kentucky's number at home for some reason, like in Kentucky.
No, I
But
think they'll lose to Kentucky this time.
they'll lose one of those games, I think. So where if they do, that's what makes it questionable because I'm looking at what the possible outcomes are
But
right
they
now,
could lose to South Carolina because that's like their kryptonite.
and that's kind of where I was heading with this conversation. Bro, if they do, you end up co-champs with South Carolina, right?
Gee, that'd be hilarious.
Because they're 1 game
I, w-
back of you guys.
I wouldn't hear the end of it from Cola. I
You're
guarantee.
1 game back of them, right? They're 1 game back of you right now. And if you guys drop that, this pretty much comes down to you dropping the Florida game. If you drop the Florida game, they'll be right there if they win out, more or less, South Carolina. Tennessee, if they win both games but lose to you guys, if you guys
Yeah,
drop the Florida game, they'll be co-champs with you guys. Because you guys will still both be like 14-4, if I'm not mistaken, in conference. I have it the map up right now
um,
because you guys are both 12-3 in conference right now. You and Tennessee.
yeah.
So if you guys win, which I do think you guys are going to win that game, but drop the Florida game and then win your last game, you're going to end up 14-4. If Tennessee loses to you guys, but they win those 2 games, the Kentucky and the South Carolina game, they'll end up tied with you guys. If South Carolina wins out from what they're doing currently, they'll end up tied with you guys. Tennessee and South Carolina both can't end up tied with you guys because they play each other. So one of them will drop. Now you guys, if you guys win out, then none of this matters.
Yeah, none of it will
Vice
matter.
versa for Tennessee, though. Either of you win out, none of this matters because you guys have to play each other. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up the standings real quick.
Yeah, I just turned it off. That's what I had up on my phone just now.
Okay. That's what I want. Okay. Gee, I don't know why it always brings up. So did you see before we started that the SEC and Big Ten are fighting to get a bye in the first round of the college football playoffs?
Bro, the fact that there's gonna be 14 teams potentially. When I saw that, I was just like, "All right, brother, what are we doing?"
What are we doing?
Yeah, I was just like,
Didn't they get that approved?
I don't know if they got that approved. I didn't read that far into it. I just saw the headline. I'm not gonna lie to you. But just to highlight, because there's other big ranked matchups on Saturday, so just to highlight, because we already covered 2 of them, some areas, and then Tennessee, Alabama. We have at the beginning of the day, you have South Carolina versus Florida at South Carolina. That's gonna be a tough game. Florida fights, man. Florida's a good team this year. They're not like crazy good, but they got heart, and they show it a lot, especially on the road. So that's something to look out for. I'm gonna be honest with you. Kansas might get caught slipping on Saturday, dog. Going on the road at Baylor, especially if they don't got any if they don't have them colors.
I might
They're
take Baylor. I like Baylor right now. They're playing
I
well.
just think they're going to be in a decent spot at home versus a team who does not do good in their conference at home.
Well, I bet on the past 2 games. I might as well keep
Oh yeah, you
betting.
made money in them. I know. But if you look at it, yeah, dog,
Feeling
Kansas
money.
is 3-5 on the road. They're 9-6 in conference. So is Baylor. I mean, but what makes you think Baylor can't win that game at home, especially when they played them so close at Kansas?
What's the spread on that game? Is it
It's a
out yet?
Saturday game. It hasn't came out yet. I mean, you might be able to find it because I know you got some ways you can find spreads before me sometimes. So like, double check that. You might be able to find it, but I don't. I don't see it yet.
Well, I do have priority. I don't have
And
Saturday.
then we got Marquette and Creighton too. I'm gonna bring up the next game while you're looking for the spread. You got
What game were
Marquette.
we looking at?
We were looking at the
Kansas.
Florida South Carolina. No, Kansas Baylor. My bad. Kansas
Baylor,
Baylor.
right?
Yeah,
Let's see.
Kansas Baylor on Saturday.
It's not that. It just says spread. So nothing. We tried. We tried.
No, yeah, but
I think it would be around 2.5.
probably 3.5, 4.5. I think for Baylor. Yeah, because they're at home and they they lost close at Kansas. But that's besides. I'm just thinking about what odds makers would think of when they do that. But no, and then you got Marquette playing Creighton on the road, dog. Creighton probably winning that game, dog. You saw
First
what happened
one.
to UConn when they had to go to Creighton, right?
Hey, they did UConn. Right when I told everyone not to bet UConn, they went and won. They went and lost again. So I don't know.
But no, Creighton at home's a different beast, dog. I'm not gonna
When was
lie.
that game? Saturday.
Saturday, 2:30. Marquette going to Indiana, man. Yeah. No, Nebraska. Well, I say Indiana, Nebraska. That's a tough game, dog.
At 2:30.
We see Marquette get broken before this year, dog.
And Creighton's at home.
Bro, you see what UConn did to them this year?
Marquette is 8-2 in their last.
Well, yeah. Did you see what one of those two was at UConn when they lost by damn near 30?
Well, Creighton can beat UConn. Marquette can't.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's on the road. Marquette might get them back when they play them at Marquette because these home road splits in the college basketball are really for real this year. So the
Yeah,
fact
they've been
Creighton's getting them at home, I wouldn't be surprised if it does that. We'll see what the spread is, but man, that's gonna be tough for Marquette, man. I'm not gonna lie.
might be an over that.
It might be an over game. You're right. Both teams are fast. And what Creighton doesn't have in speed, they make up in 3-point shooting. They shoot the lights out the three ball. So yeah, you're right. That is definitely interesting. Besides that, there's not too many games. UVA is gonna get toasted by Duke, probably toasted. I mean, unless Filipowski's really messed up from the knee thing last week, they're gonna get toasted by Duke. UVA. Well, Duke's at home, man. UVA's playing on the road, and a rivalry game that never works out, dog. Never
So
does.
let me ask you something. Since you brought up that incident,
Yeah.
you think you should be able to storm the court of the field?
I mean, it's never been a problem for so long. And I know you can say that about a lot of situations, but like, as long as here's what I'll say:
Did you watch the video? That dude like went and pushed him and like went out
as
of
long
the
as the athletes are protected and not being dumb themselves, then it should be fine. But if this keeps happening and like there's videos of these athletes trying their best, obviously, to like, cause like the couple instances that we've had, you've seen athletes that are like they're not really looking for trouble necessarily, but they're not like staying out of it, if you know what I mean. Like they're like pushing contact and then flop. Like Caitlin Clark flopped,
yeah.
and then like when you look at Filipowski, he literally shoved a kid, and then the other kid trampled him. That picture is gonna be a classic of him getting carried off. And I'm not talking about the actual picture. I mean, like the kid who got the picture of Kyle's face right then and there, in the middle. That's insane. That's crazy, dog. Like they just gotta keep the players safe is the one thing. But I mean, I don't think they should personally stop it. I know a lot of these media personalities are saying they should, but you also understand a lot of those media personalities aren't real college fans. Like college. I know I'm personally more of a pro sports fan, but I can appreciate college sports. I can appreciate what is, and that's part of it. The environment, because these people storming the court are usually 9 times out of 10 students at that school. So that's a different side. I mean, like other schools there too. Like there's smaller schools around the big school usually know that stuff, but generally they're students from that school. So yeah, I don't think we should stop it, but I mean, just make sure the athletes are safer, I guess.
Hey, what do you think about Atlanta plus 1.5?
The Falcon? I mean, the Falcon, the Hawks.
Yeah.
I looked at it when we were talking basketball. I didn't bring it up for a reason because I didn't really like the spot too much. But yeah, let me just cover international sports real quick. So just to get into it, we
All right.
got tomorrow. I'm feeling Daniel Medvedev. I couldn't find the spread before the show started today, man. But I'm gonna see what it is tomorrow. If I like it, I'm gonna text you and we'll put it out, man. Medvedev's the guy I like betting on when it comes to this tennis stuff, man. And he's hard court specialist. On a hard court, the Dubai Duty Free Tennis Championship. So not crazy good. He's solid. I mean, he's top 20 ATP for a reason, but he's been cracked a couple times this year. And I think Medvedev will be able to be one of those times, especially in that type of game in a 3-set type match. That's really the only thing I like from tennis. I do have a lean tonight on the Casper Ruud versus Ben Shelton, the USA kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing tonight versus Casper Ruud, who's I think from Norway, if I'm not mistaken. But Casper Ruud's an elite tennis player, a solid player, 9-2 this year so far. He beat Pete Test in that semifinal at the last week's tournament, and took part of his ranking from it. So I'm leaning on Ruud in that. I didn't end up betting it. He's minus 140 if I'm not mistaken right now. Very solid. If you wanted to combine it, you could do a him and Holger Rune parlay. Holger Rune's like born in 2003, so he's how old? He's just 21. Holger Rune's like crazy good. He's for his age too. He's beaten Novak Djokovic 2 years ago. He's played well. He's not had the crazy year this year so far. He has a few key crash outs, but he's still a good player, and he's in the top 10 of the tennis rankings for a reason. So that's going to be a solid option right there. Friday is where you're going to see the Medvedev option, and then that's probably going to be leading into the semifinals. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at tennis wise. If we're going to go into soccer, you're going to have a couple options. I'm liking Chelsea. I mean, you're going to always see me be kind of biased. I'm a Chelsea fan. Chelsea owes Brentford a debt. They've constantly been a thorn in Chelsea's side the past couple of years. This is a game Chelsea needs to get back. However, I will say, if you do want a lotto, like I said, Brentford's been a thorn in Chelsea's side. So if you do want a lotto, you can get Brentford money line around plus 200, especially because they're at home too. They beat Chelsea on the road this year already, and they have 2 previous wins. Like pretty much, Brentford's won 3 of the last 4 games for Chelsea, which is kind of crazy, but it's the truth. So if you want a lotto, you can lean Brentford. I like Chelsea personally, but I know I'm just telling you that as a Chelsea fan. So if you're looking at this logically, Brentford plus 200 could be a decent lotto.
What about the Wolves versus Newcastle?
So the fact that game's at Newcastle makes that game super interesting because Newcastle should win that game. Should. Keyword. It is at home. That's the thing that's putting it in Newcastle's favor. Wolves is actually a solid year, and they're in a somewhat similar position. They are both teams in the table.
They both
Very,
have
very similar position. They're both mid-level of the table. I'd lean Newcastle. It really that type of game depends on the lineups and who's available and who's healthy. The line's sitting right around minus 120, minus 110 for Newcastle money line, so it's questionable because it's moving in a different direction than it should. But that's a game that's a draw could happen, yes, but I probably wouldn't bet Wolves personally. I'd
Chelsea at
either,
plus money seems like that's a must.
huh?
Chelsea, your Chelsea pick that you just said.
But there's a reason they're plus money, bro, because they lost 3 out of the last 4 to Brentford, and it's on the road, and they just had a cup tie in the middle of the week.
Did open at 135 and at 115 now though.
Because Chelsea's in good form. I'm not gonna lie to you; they're playing decently. They played well against the top teams. They played solid football. But the one thing you can account for in the Premier League is when you're playing, they're playing well against top 6 sides. Both teams play more open. You'll see than they'll play against mid-table teams. Mid-table teams are not going to play as open. They're going to play more compact. They're going to try to stop the ball. They're going to press just as much, and they're going to try to. It's all about recycling the ball in the Prem right now. So if you recycle it, you're going to score quicker. That's how it is in really mainstream soccer right now, how quick you can recycle the ball. If you can recycle the ball quick and get it to your passing formation, you see it in the Spanish league and Italian leagues a lot too. You're scoring goals quick. That's how a lot of goals are scored right now is counterattack, recycle the ball, counterattack, go. So I can see it happening more versus a team like Brentford than a team like in the top six because yeah, you're going a counterattack, but and recycling, but it's not as compact. It's a more open game. You can still pick some things out comparatively. So that's something I stress. I'm not gonna be the guy that champions betting on Chelsea.
So on Sunday, Man City's going to blow out Manchester United, right?
Yeah, probably. There's a reason they're minus 400 favorites. In my personal opinion, if you're gonna do something like that, bet on a team like Liverpool, who are in just as good a form as City, if not better form, and they're minus 190 favorites. You got to use that as something with the parlay. You could even probably take
I
Liverpool
wasn't going to
spread.
bet them. I wasn't going to bet them.
Oh no, if I'm a bet, I might bet Liverpool spread, dog. They're 18-6-2 this year, and they're playing Nottingham Forest, who's one of the worst teams in the league on the road. Yeah, at Nottingham, but Liverpool's gonna have to get the result, so I won't expect nothing less from them. As a Liverpool spread game might not be bad. Like roughly, remember what I did week with Girona minus 1.5 plus 170
Opened at 240.
minus one, not minus 1.5. Open at 240. Now it is starting to move back up. I did see
Alright, alright, alright.
it did move down, but I think it's starting to move back up a tiny bit. Another solid pick for me potentially is going to be Aston Villa. Aston Villa's been one of my teams recently, dog. They've been winning big. They're doing high. They're top four for a reason this year, dog. I'm really leading into that Villa probably. I think they're around minus 135.
Yeah.
They're on the road and they're starting to gain money on it too. So I'm leaning Villa. Villa, they made me money last week on Saturday too. So Villa's in good form. Villa's in good form.
I like that one.
So that's what I have. Let me just double check if there's anything in the Spanish or German league that's interesting. No, I don't think so. I don't see anything. Let me check the Spanish league. Spanish league might have something. What's Madrid at? Ooh, that's interesting. You got Real Madrid, who's not in the craziest form, but they're playing on the road at Valencia. Valencia is actually pretty solid, not crazy solid, mid-table team. All right, I might stay off that. That's probably not going to be worth touching. Yeah, nah, it's not going to be worth touching. Sunday, is there going to be anything worth touching? Let's see. Ooh, well, look out for something on Sunday. One of my teams I'll be betting on, Girona, is on the road again playing a poo-poo team. That's interesting. They're playing Mallorca. Mallorca is right now. Let's see where Mallorca is at. Yeah, the Mallorca's been in the bottom half of the table in the bottom five. That's an interesting spot. Girona being plus money is what makes that interesting because it's on the road. That's why it's interesting. That's something to follow. And they're not getting the money too. That's why I said that's something to follow. It's not something to bet on just yet, but that is something to follow. Yeah, Barca. I'm not even gonna bring up the Barca game. So that's just about soccer, and then I'm just gonna wrap up probably with just the UFC because we do have one semi decent couple UFC fights that are semi decent. We got Shamil Gazev versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike on Saturday in the heavyweight main event. It's one of the more boring fight cards, yeah, but at least it starts in the middle of the day, so you don't gotta watch it late in the night. The main card starts at like 4 o'clock versus like 10 o'clock. But yeah, you got Shamil Gazizev. He's undefeated in his career. He's facing up Jairzinho Rosenstrike. Where Rosenstrike can land that one punch and knockout because it is the heavyweights, but I'm leaning Gazizev. He's probably going to walk down Rosenstrike. If he's able to get his takedowns in, take him to the ground. You got him at minus 160 right now. You'll probably see that grow throughout the week. That's a solid spot. I'm leaning that right there. I want to tell you how to bet on the Muhammad Makayev fight because I think he's going to beat Pereira's, obviously. I just don't know if he's going to finish him at flyweight, dog. That's the questionable thing. And I can't even tell you the bet on Habib's cousin because Habib's cousin's minus 1,700. So that's kind of.
Good. That seems good value.
So that this UFC card, that's kind of why I'm like, we don't really got too much to cover here. But
Loving people post plays like that. Minus 1100.
yeah,
Like
dog.
what?
Why do you think I said you can't bet on?
Who do you think is putting that in? Like, I've seen someone give out a play like that. I was like, oh, nice juice.
Bro, Benoit Saint. Remember I told you Dustin Poirier plus money this weekend?
Yeah,
I mean next weekend,
yeah.
because we do got a pay per view coming up, dog. That's super. And bro, we got a big card coming up, man. I'm so excited for this upcoming pay per view. $2.99. And Benoit Saint Dennis is a crazy striker. He be swinging, bro. He be going for the fences, man. His dream fight, he said he wants is Justin Gaethje, man. But Poirier is gonna swing him too, and the fact that he's plus money, man.
Money.
I don't know if I'm gonna take Poirier though. That's the thing. 'Cause I've seen some more Benoit Saint Denis recently, bro. That French guy can go, man. That fight intrigues me because Poirier's plus money. I gotta look into it more. People think Poirier's semi-washed. That's kind of part of the reason. So, hey man, I mean that's pretty much all I got on the UFC part. And the Red Wings losing right now. That's not a great start. So hopefully we pick that back up later. I'm gonna have to turn that game on a little bit. You got anything else, Parlay?
Nah, that's Matt.
And that's Parlay, man. We had a great show for y'all, man. We be back on Monday next week, man. Take care. Enjoy the weekend.
Y'all have a good one. Let me get y'all's outro, eh?
Whenever I bet, I could change the odds for every bookmaker in the country.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.